Hey, okay, it's working. Um, just another little video. I got some blood work back, and it was a Lyme marker that had come back positive um, on my blood work. I had about 7 or 8 labs pulled, and I had a Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which is a tick-borne illness. It came back not quite high enough, but it was in my blood. And the Lyme's, one of them came back negative, and then another one came back positive. And it was through LabCorp, and I was reading this blog when I got the results. I started reading a blog online of, I don't know, just different people. And this lady from Colorado had one up, and so I called her on her phone, and she was like, "I can't believe you had an abnormal or positive result on a LabCorp test, because it's not sensitive for Lyme's usually, and it had come back positive for me." So she was like, "I can't imagine how bad you feel." Well, out of the 7 or 8 labs I had, I still got to have about 7 or 8 more for infectious diseases. My Epstein-Barr came back high, and like 6, 7 times the normal limit. But I've got online seen where some people's my chronic immune marker for Epstein-Barr was high. So it's a recent infection that's not that recent, or it's a chronic one, but that's still pretty high. So that's like having acute Lyme's. My immune marker for the Lyme's is more acute, which doesn't make sense because it must be reactivated, because I got bit by the ticks in June, 4 of them. And fatigue, my brain don't work the same, I think slower, I can't recall words or things, and just whatever. So that came back, and the Epstein-Barr came back, and so that's why I've been feeling so beat down, like I'm 80, 95 years old. The lady in Colorado did say there was a good treatment, but she had went to and did it for 2 weeks, where they heat your body up to 107 degrees and put you on anesthesia for 6 hours. And they do it 2 different times, and it takes a week to get over it each time. And that's in Germany, and I've seen that on YouTube where it's curing people. And but it's $20,000 for 2 weeks, and you stay there. And it's another 7 to 10,000 for the next week for them to run your blood through a machine and clean it up with the debris from whatever it is, because they say Lyme's in the blood looks like syphilis, the shape of the bacteria, the way it burrows in your tissues and cells, and heating it as you get the antibiotics, as they say, is the best way to treat it. I didn't really want to concentrate on my health too much in these videos, but so I did have it come back positive for Lyme's on with LabCorp, and it's not that sensitive. I didn't use one of those Lyme specific labs. Some more might have come back. So I don't know if that was from June. I spoke with a girl who's had it for a long time, 20 years, and they didn't find hers till it's probably in her body for years and years, she said. So I don't know if it's been there a long time and just got activated because of stress last year, but you can see my eyes are kind of dark. They've always been kind of dark, but now they're really dark around, and feel bad. So I wanted to, but this isn't about my health, but that kind of gives me some answers. Just want to read a verse. A centurion, I guess how you say it, somebody in the Roman army. They were guarding, and the Roman soldiers and the Jewish people in Jerusalem, they really didn't get along, and that's when Jesus was coming in the middle of all that. And a centurion had a servant who was sick and didn't think he was worthy to get a blessing from God, and God said he was humble. And also made a verse. This is one of the Gospels. It may have been Matthew, and he told us, turned to his disciples when they said, why did you heal that servant of the centurion? Because even they didn't think he was worthy. And Jesus said, many shall come from the east and the west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. but the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into the external darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And so what he's saying is, you'll have people who were born in infidelity, were born as outsiders, and they will enjoy the society of saints, is how the article put it, but they will come to spend their eternity in heaven. And some people will be born in the church, brought up, and they will weep bitterly for eternity. And this article, I don't know how they come up with this, if it's biblical, but it said the first remorse will be, in hell, will be how little they had to do to have eternal life versus having an eternity without hope and without God. So in the second remorse, arising from all the trifles in which they slowly lost their soul over time here on earth. Because sometimes it takes a while to lose your soul. You lose it piece by piece. You give in to the world. You kind of follow the world. You kind of give in to things and take the easy way out and the most rewarding monetary route sometimes when you know it's wrong, and you slowly lose your conscience and your soul. And then the third remorse is arising from the great good in which they lost, and they only had themselves to blame as through their own fault. So that's just interesting. And I think sometimes, you have to stay diligent. That's one thing I believe is you can be in the church and do all that, but you can fall away and be reprobate and go. And some people say once saved, always saved, but they really stretch interpretation of some of the verses. Throughout the Bible, it says you got to do it for the long haul. And so in my previous videos, I would kind of dip back into the world a little bit, get a taste of it, indulge in it, and then always in the back of my head, like, I'm going to back out. I'm not going to indulge for too long. But I wouldn't, and I would kind of coast, and you lose your soul piece by piece, and something tragic with my health or something crazy would happen, usually with my health. That's how the Lord really gets my attention. It seems He has so far through my health. And I would just be this carnal thinking, worldly person, and then boom, my health would take a turn just out of nowhere, like it is now. Like having Lyme and chronic Epstein-Barr virus, which is in 90% of the populations. It just don't activate in everybody. And it could be the Lyme suppressing my immune system. So that's just a rare situation. I guess He's doing that because He knows that's what it would take for me to just turn from everything. Like I said, on my life, I feel like I can't just be a Sunday, tuck my shirt in, go sit through church type Christian. I can't go to church right now anyway, but that's just not in the cards for me. One, I don't think you can call yourself a man of faith and woman of faith, whatever, and just kind of show up to church and kind of go through the motions and not lead nobody to Christ and not really give yourself over to serve the Lord first and foremost in anything. I'd say almost a majority, maybe as high as 90-something% of the people in